My name is Fiona. I'm in a happy relationship, no doubt. But my conscience pricks me every time I remember what I did. It pricks me even more when I remember that I enjoyed the experience while it lasted. I decided to tell this story, since this is a safe space, to warn married people on the dangers of being too good or being too kind. What happened to me may not happen to you. I hope it doesn't. But it may happen to someone you know. So share this video as much as you can. I met my husband at our college library. I was preparing for a test while he was researching for a term paper, I think. We sat across each other that day, but I couldn't help but feel like someone was staring at me. To indulge my feelings, I looked up, and it was the most beautiful man I had ever seen. He smiled and waved at me. I waved back, and that was how it all started. Ben, that's my husband's name, became my all-in-all on campus. We did everything together, went everywhere together, and when we finished college, we moved in together. It was not long before he popped the big question. Ben and I got married in Paris. I had always wanted to visit the city of love. This time, I did not only visit, I married the love of my life there. It was a day to remember. Flowers, sunset, and the atmosphere that only Paris brings. Everything about Ben was perfect. The way he laughed, his gait like a supermodel, his cute glasses, and his large brains. The biggest of all his perfection is his ability to take me to nirvana every time. He may not look like it when you see him at first, but boy is Ben a beast in bed. I can still remember what he did to me on our wedding night. Nothing. He did nothing, laughs. We held each other close and slept. But at about 3 a.m, Ben started kissing my neck. That was my cue to wake up. It was an intense 3 hours. We did everything, all the positions you can think of. And it was beautiful. Even more beautiful is the fact that Ben knew when to be slow and when to be fast. We went from the bed to the floor, to the couch at the far end of the hotel room, to the bathroom and the bathroom floor, and ended on the bed again. We stayed in that day, ordering food, watching movies, and having each other till we could want no more. I had married my everything, and I knew that nothing could come between us. Or so I thought. Through the years, Ben and I lived happily, had dinner dates, fell in love with each other every day, helped each other build our careers, and, even with our tight working schedules, were able to go on vacations to 2 of our dream countries, South Africa and Italy. It was beautiful, you see, but behind every sunshine, there is a ring of gray clouds building. Ben is an only child, but he grew up with his only cousin, Philip. Philip was an integral part of Ben's life. They were inseparable. Well, until college. Ben went to Yale, while Philip went to a community college. Can't remember where it was. Slowly, their bond dwindled. The drift was hard on Ben, but he soon got used to it. They went from seeing every Christmas to not seeing at all, to not talking at all. It was so bad, Philip did not even come for our wedding. Word on the street was that Philip had become a hotshot banker in Europe and was living the life with his supermodel wife. Ben hardly spoke a word about him or their relationship. According to him, Philip outgrew what they had and moved to bigger things. Now, with all that money he was famed to have acquired and the big life he lived, tell me why he was sitting in the middle of our front porch with a bag in hand and a grin on his face. I was meeting him for the first time, and in his grin I sensed big trouble. Apparently, Philip married a gold digger with a very large digger. She filed for divorce. He caught her cheating, his story, not mine, and with the help of her team of amazing lawyers, took more than half of what he had. Money, houses, the works. Philip, in a bid to get back on his feet, entered a casino and came out poorer than ever. He sold his car and came back home. With nowhere to go to, Philip remembered he had a cousin. After searching and asking around, he was able to locate our house. Ben and I were away on a weekend getaway, but had to cancel because the weather forecast of our destination did not encourage any form of tourism. Why was he grinning? Ben found it a little irritating, but the fact that he had not seen his old pal for ages overwhelmed his anger, and before I knew it, Ben and Philip were in each other's arms. It was obvious they had missed each other, but also obvious that Philip was using Ben. After the whole hug and handshakes, Ben introduced me to Philip. I noticed a glint of lust in his eyes. The way he looked at me, how he held my hands for more than the usual 3 seconds. Everything was off about him, and I did not like it. We went inside, and Philip regaled us with his sad sob story. Bottom line, he needed a place to stay. "You are welcome to stay for as long you want," Ben said, without thinking to talk to me. I was furious. I was so furious. For the first time since we got married, I sent Ben to the couch. Even with that, Ben had made up his mind, and there was nothing I could do about it. Sometimes I wish he had listened. I wish he had just kept quiet and listened, pauses and sobs. Things began to fall apart almost immediately. It was like another part of my husband was opened that I had never seen before. He would go out with Philip and come back drunk. He barely touched me. The dinner dates stopped. Surprises followed. Communication, too. Soon, I became alone in my house. But this was just the beginning. Pauses. Philip noticed the turn of events and decided to use it to his advantage. He began to make advances at me. Most times when I'm alone, sometimes, when Ben was out drunk on the couch. "Believe me," I reacted. I even threatened to shout on one of the occasions. Philip was on a mission. At the time, we did not know. Ben and I began to drift apart, and the person he thought was like a brother to him, the person that brought out the demon in him, was trying to get to me. I was not going to allow that. I would fight as hard as I could. But there is a limit to a woman's strength, especially one that has been starved of touch by her husband. I was nearing my breaking point. Philip knew this and kept on pressing on. The last straw that broke my will was that monster tried to kiss me. I was off work that day and alone in the house. I was cleaning the living room that day. I can remember dancing to one of Usher's songs. I can't remember which one now. It was a soft song, so all I was doing was swinging my waist. I was alone and was at liberty to do all I wanted to do. I was so absorbed in the song that I did not hear Philip come in. I didn't even notice him standing there watching me. Suddenly, I felt large arms on my waist. I turned immediately to see a smirk on the handsome face of my husband's cousin. I did not take his hands away. They were soft and rough at the same time, and his grip was too. He looked me deep in the eyes and I melted. He had me now. He had me just where he wanted me. And before I could resist, his lips were on mine. They were soft and rough, just like his hands, that were now squeezing my backside. I knew if I stayed here, he would have his way, but I could not leave. It was like I was hypnotized. I have remembered the song, "Good Kisser." It filled the room now as he kissed me. I did not know when I closed my eyes and pressed myself to his broad chest. I was kissing Philip. I had let myself go, and I was doing it without a thought. Before things got more intense, Ben's car came to my rescue. I quickly disengaged myself from his grip and ran upstairs. He was already hard and was so big down there. Ben came in and they went out for their usual night out. My husband and I had lost ourselves to the same person, and he was playing us like a professional. After that day, I began to avoid Philip. I would not allow myself to be alone with him or even by myself. Ben noticed that I was always apprehensive around Philip, but dismissed it as the usual hate I had for his cousin. If only he knew that I was only protecting him from the biggest heartbreak of his life. I know some of you would say, "Why did you not tell him?" That would only break his heart more. Well, the day I had been avoiding finally came. Ben was out on a business retreat for the weekend, and I was alone in the house with Philip. At first, he acted like nothing was going to happen. He even avoided me throughout the day. Did I like that he was avoiding me? I don't think I did. I wanted him, but was not prepared to bear the act on my conscience. Philip waited till I was preparing to sleep. He knocked on my door and I was confused. Should I open or pretend I was already asleep? I became distraught and happy at the same time. I was putting on a short nightgown with nothing under, and did not realize my nipples were already hard. After much contemplation, more like I was making myself proper for him, I opened the door. Philip was bare-chested with the same smirk as the previous day on his handsome face, and a bottle of red wine and 2 glasses on his hands. He did not wait for me to ask him in. I knew he would not wait, so I opened the door and walked back to my bed. He came in, filled the cups with wine, and handed one of the glasses to me. With every sip of wine we took, the tension built, the desire heightened, the lust filled our throats. I handed my empty cup to Philip and waited for him to make the move. He did, finally. Philip drew me close and said, "Where did we stop?" I was undone. We began to kiss, taking in each other's lips like starved people. His hands went under my gown, and before I knew it, they began to perform magic. His head followed soon after. Every session came with its own intense emotion. I had not felt like this in a long time. And finally, he went inside me. I could feel him, feel as he moved, the strength of thrusts. I did not want it to end, did not want it to stop. Philip went on and on until I reached nirvana. But unlike Ben, who would have stopped at my first orgasm, Philip continued. Took me to the floor, pressed me to the walls, hoisted me, and took me to the edge of the bed. Philly gave me 3 more orgasms, breaking and remaking me. And on my 4th, we arrived together, all his load blown inside me. He had accomplished his mission, but I did not know. I was too struck to know. I wish I could tell you that was the only time. But it wasn't. The more I slept with Philip, the farther away I moved from my husband. But did Ben notice? No. Did we have intimate moments? Yes. But by that time, I was either too tired to participate, or I was thinking about the hard and heavy thrusts of Philip. I continued seeing Philip in different places and at different times. Even when Ben was home. It went on like this till the worst happened. I got pregnant. The news of my pregnancy came as a big surprise for Ben. A pleasant one. I think the idea of being a father brought him back to reality. Ben stopped keeping late nights. He would come home, do chores, and be there to do whatever I wanted. I knew the child was not his. Philip knew too. But neither of us said anything. After staying with us for almost a year, Philip got a place and moved out. I don't know if he had a fight with Ben. I think they did, because they stopped talking again. Ben was now focused on me and my unborn child. Our daughter is 3 now and looks so much like Philip, but Ben would not accuse me of anything. Her birth brought Ben and I together again, and the 3 years of her life with us have been the best years of our marriage. Things were going beautifully until Philip came back, suddenly. They contacted me, asked to see his daughter, and threatened to tell Ben about what we had if I didn't come to him. Why did he have to wait for 3 years to come back? He clearly doesn't want to have anything to do with the child. All he wants is to be in control of me, to have me at his will. I have gone there 3 times now. I don't want to go anymore. But I can't tell my husband. It will break him. It will break this happiness we struggled so hard to regain. I'm going to see that monster again today. Although I hate that I'm doing this to my husband, Philip has me now. He knows he does. And there is nothing I can do about it. Your home is yours to guide and guard. If Ben had listened to me, I wouldn't be preparing to go see his cousin, nor would he be raising his cousin's child. It's sad, actually. But it is the story of my life.